What is up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to Diggity, a video game podcast. Yet again, I am all by my lonesome this week, but we're gonna make it work. Next week, Jeff's supposed to be back, and we'll see how all that goes. So, thank you again for joining us. If you aren't already, follow us on follow us at Diggity Podcast on Instagram, Twitter. We have Facebook. We're not there, but we are there, but we aren't there, if that makes sense. You can subscribe to us on YouTube at Diggity. Search for Diggity Gaming. That's the easiest way to find us. You can also subscribe to our podcast at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, or pretty much wherever you listen. Whatever your poison is for your podcast, we're there. So come find us, and we would love to have you back week after week. And with that, I mean, shoot, let's go ahead and jump into this. So before we get into all the news, we like to do some general kind of housekeeping type of stuff. So first up, what have I been playing? I have been playing a decent amount of Tokyo Mirage Sessions, a very, very, very small amount of Modern Warfare, and then most of my time has been spent with Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is a wonderful, wonderful game, and I will get into that later. I've also been playing a decent amount of Gang Beasts with the group of friends that I generally play with. It's dumb, it's stupid, it's glitchy, but it works, and we're having a good time with it. And also, lots of Animal Crossing. Lots and lots and lots of Animal Crossing. I mean, the animals aren't going to cross themselves, so somebody has to do it. Next up on our little housekeeping deal here, Diggity Deals. So Xbox One, you can get the Jackbox Party Pack 3 for $12.49 on the Xbox Store. On the Nintendo Switch, you can get Cuphead for $14.99 on the US eShop. And on the PlayStation 4, you can get a physical copy of Risk of Rain 2 for $14.99 on Amazon, and this also comes with a digital copy of Risk of Rain as well, for download obviously. And on PC you can get Dark Souls 3 Deluxe Edition for $14.44 on Steam. Upcoming game releases for the week. April 24th, you can get Predator Hunting Grounds for PlayStation 4, Trials of Mana on PC, PS4, and Switch, and XCOM Chimera Squad on PC. I don't know why that one messes with me every time. I know how to say it, I just can't say it. On April 28th, you can get Azure Striker Gunvolt Striker Pack on PS4, Gears Tactics on PC, The Inner Friend on PS4 and Xbox One, Moving Out on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. PUBG Season 7 starts on PlayStation 4, Xbox One. Remnant from the Ashes Swamps of Corsus DLC comes to PC. Sakurai Wars comes to PS4. April 29th, you can get Dread Nautical on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. And on April 30th, you can get G-Lock Air Battle for Switch and Streets of Rage 4 for PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Free Epic Game Store, or free Epic Games game store. I'm gonna mess it up every time. You can get For the King for free on the Epic Games Store right now. Coming to Game Pass for console, you can actually start playing Red Dead Redemption 2 on May 7th. This will replace GTA 5 on the Game Pass service. This is just console for now. Obviously, Steam has kind of a corner on Red Dead on PC. Well, I guess they have their own launcher, but yeah, that's a whole nother story. And with that, we can kind of start our news here. And by we, I mean me. It's weird not having anyone to bounce this off of and trying to run through this quickly so I don't embarrass myself too bad. But anyway, Battlefield 5 is going to be ending support this summer. This is a game that was plagued with many, many, many problems at launch. We played it for a while. We kind of suffered through it. That was kind of our group game for a while, but it did finally get to the point where we called it quits. It was right around the time that Firestorm was launching their battle royale version, and we just did not find any enjoyment in that. I'm not surprised they're ending it before another Battlefield launches. It sounds like they're still going to be around, and they're still going to kind of work on it here and there. Things with like the anti-cheat system and probably not much balancing it after that. I imagine everybody's going to be predominantly working on the next Battlefield, whatever that may be. But yeah, this one's not super surprising, but it is what it is. Splatoon 2 is returning. So this is a tweet from Nintendo Versus, which is an official Nintendo account. It's a hashtag Splatoon 2 hashtag Splatfest. So continuous, we have to do it twice. Team Mayo and Team Ketchup are back, and it's up to you to determine which sauce is the boss. This bonus one-off Splatfest kicks off on May 22nd at 3 p.m. Pacific time, and it ends on May 24th at 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'm surprised this is coming back. This is something they kind of made it sound like they weren't going to do anymore. They weren't really going to be doing much of anything with Splatoon 2, but here we are, and I'm glad to see it. I know a lot of people have a lot of love for Splatoon, but it's never really been a game I could get into. I've tried it, and it's just it's not for me, and that's just the way it is. So Death Stranding, the PC launch has been delayed to July 14th, 2020. So this is the tweet from the official Kojima Productions account. Following the temporary closure of Kojima Productions, we have had to delay the PC launch of Death Stranding to July 14th, 2020 to allow more development time amidst the current work-from-home orders in place. Thank you all for your patience and continued support. Hashtag keep on keeping on. This is probably going to be the story of the year. I mean, story for the year, sorry. We are going to see probably a handful of delays, probably a lot of delays, honestly. I mean, most of these large AAA companies are not able to work in the same fashion that some of these smaller indie devs can, where they can work from home, and they probably have been doing that anyway. So I unfortunately, I think this is going to be something we see a lot of this year, and we've already seen a decent amount of it, and I don't think that's going to slow down much at all. Fortnite has finally made it to the Google Play Store. This has been something we covered 18 months ago. So yeah, right as we were starting, Fortnite was coming out on phones and predominantly, trying to make it onto Android and iOS, and Epic had been trying to work something out with Google as far as, a fair portion for Google to take, but apparently they could not come to that, so Epic made it to where it was a third-party app, and I don't know if you've ever tried to install a third-party app onto an Android phone, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's very much, it's not necessarily that it's hard, it's more that you do kind of get these weird alarms that will go off, and it's like, hey, this could be hazardous, this is potentially, could install viruses onto your phone, things like that. So for people who are not super familiar with that, it's probably a huge turnoff, and probably got a lot of people to not install Fortnite onto their phones, which takes money out of Epic's pockets on this. So they weren't very happy about it, but they have finally caved. And again, they really cited the warnings that pop up as the main reason they didn't want to, or that they did finally cave. And obviously money is the driving factor as to why they never wanted to. But anyway, a representative from Epic said, after 18 months of operating Fortnite on Android outside of the Google Play Store, we've come to a basic realization. Google puts software downloadable outside of Google Play at a disadvantage through technical and business measures such as scary, repetitive security pop-ups for downloading and updating software, restrictive manufacturer and carrier agreements and dealings, and Google public relations characterizing third-party software sources as malware, and new efforts such as Google Play Protect to outright block software obtained outside the Google Play Store. Yeah, this is not a whole lot to say here. I feel like I've already kind of said about everything I wanted to say about it. But yeah, I mean, they want Fortnite everywhere, and they want as many people playing it because that's how they make money. People go in and they got to have this skin and they got to have that skin. And they know what they're doing, and obviously they think they're losing enough money that it warrants getting it onto the Play Store and paying. It's something stupid like a 30% tax that Google will take out of it. So it is pretty high. I think Steam's right up in that ballpark as well. But yeah, it's not great. And here we are. Some large sales numbers from some of the heavy hitters in the last month. There's been some impressive benchmarks that have been broken. So Final Fantasy VII Remake has shipped and digitally sold over 3.5 million copies over the first 3 days it was out. I'm not surprised. This game is so beloved, but it's doing exceptionally well. Animal Crossing New Horizons has sold more digital units in a single month than any console game in history. So 5 million is what it's sold so far. New Horizons has also sold more than any other Animal Crossing games in their entire lifetime. So New Horizons is doing exceptionally well. I assume quarantine has a big part in this. And I mean, there's a lot of people that are playing an Animal Crossing game for the first time because they are quarantined and they don't have anything better to do. And I mean, for the most part, everything has been extremely positive and people are loving it. So I imagine this is going to work very well for Nintendo because now they have a whole new army of Animal Crossing fans the next time they go to launch a game that, you know, people are going to be paying attention. And a lot of people are playing New Horizons that don't typically play video games because it's not, I mean, it is a video game, but it's not the video game that you would imagine. It's like it's relaxing in a way, and I've actually got my wife hooked on it now. I bought her own Switch Lite so she could play because they messed up the online that bad, but it works, and she's having a blast. So to me, that's absolutely worth it. So people have spent a total of $10 billion on digital games in March, which this sets a new record, which is a astronomical amount. A lot of people were buying digital copies of games that normally they might have bought physically, which makes sense given the stay at home and the quarantine and all of this. It makes sense that people are buying digitally, and but yeah, $10 billion in a single month is insane. Super Mario Maker 2 has added a free update, which this is a wonderful little free update. And I say little, but it's actually a pretty good sized update. So this adds the ability to create worlds that can be made up of 40 different courses. So this essentially is making a classic Super Mario game. You get the overworld, you can change how it looks and do a lot of cool things with this, and allows you to make a game, you know, for either yourself to play through or a friend of yours to play through or whatever. And you can actually share these worlds with other people and share them online, so people can give these a go, which is fantastic. I mean, after I get done going through this list, like, yeah, there's not much they could add to a Super Mario Maker game to make it all that much better. They've done a wonderful job with this. The Koopalings are back, so Bowser's little 7 henchmen, I believe is what they are. They are back, and they all have their own individual powers. They all have their individual looks for the different styles of Mario game that you can make. Allows you to create a new style of boss fight and kind of have fun with that. There's new power-ups and course parts. So one of them is the Super Mario Bros. 2 mushroom. This allows you to pick up and throw items at enemies. You can also get the frog suit from Super Mario Bros. 3, which allows you to run on water and also swim. There's the power balloon from Super Mario World that allows you to float and bounce around the course. There's the Super Acorn from New Super Mario Bros. U. There's the boomerang flower, I believe is also from Super Mario Bros. U. And then there's a handful of different wearable things that you can pick up as well. So there's a cannon box, does exactly what you'd think. You can shoot a cannon, propeller box, a bow box, a POW box, a Goomba suit, and a bullet bill suit. So this is really an impressive update to something they really didn't need to update anymore. They just done a great job with this game, and really I don't know how you go on from here. I don't know how you make a Super Mario Maker 3. Everything's here. So this is the last major update, and so we will kind of see that string of content stop now. I don't know if they will attempt to make another one, or if this is going to. I imagine this will reign at least the whole time that the Switch is out, and they'll probably re-release something on the next console, whatever that may be. But yeah, for now, this is what you get, and in all honesty, I don't think there's much to complain about. This is a great package. So Call of Duty is fighting back against cheaters. So starting this week, players in Warzone and multiplayer who report suspected cheaters will receive confirmation in-game when a player is banned. They deployed additional dedicated security updates. They updated matchmaking to match suspected cheaters together, which is great. Nobody likes a cheater, and cheaters don't even like cheaters. So put them all together. Let that unfold and see what that looks like. Increased resources across backend tech, studio, and enforcement teams to also, obviously combat cheaters. Something they plan to add coming soon. The report a player functionality is going to be added to the kill cam and spectate modes. This is good. This obviously, if they're cutting down on cheaters, it's a good thing. It is not something I feel like I have had a whole lot of trouble with. I don't feel like I've run into a ton of cheaters. There's obviously been a handful of them here and there, but it's not something that I have seen really rampantly. I feel like I've heard a lot more reports of people running into cheaters on PC versus console. Again, I play on console. I play on Xbox most of the time, and I really haven't had too much of a problem. Even with crossplay on, I haven't seen too many issues going on there. But regardless, if it's big enough of a deal that they're going after it, fantastic. I mean, less cheaters is always a good thing, makes the game enjoyable, and this is the most fun I've had in a Call of Duty game in who knows how long. It's been a long time. So I'd love to keep this game as great as it is right now, and not have this be overshadowed by some people who just want to cheat at games. That's not fun. What fun's that? So the last thing before I get out of here, let you guys stop listening to a one-man show here, I want to talk about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. This is not going to be an in-depth review. This is not going to be filled with spoilers. I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet for the most part, and definitely stay away from major story beats or anything of that nature. So this should be safe. I'm keeping it safe because I would not want this to be spoiled for me. Even if you have played the game or haven't, the original, I haven't played the original, so going through the story, even though I know some of the major things that are supposed to happen, I'm treating it like I don't know, and so far it's been pretty good. So first off, we're actually going to start with story, and like I said, I'm going to leave out major spoilers and things of that nature. This is just going to be me talking about how I feel about the story. So for me, so far the story's fantastic. I'm a little over 8 hours in. I'd love to be a little bit further, but I'm not quite there yet. So far, the story has been fantastic. It's nothing too crazy. It's not a story that's groundbreaking or revolutionary. I mean, this game came out like 23 years ago, I believe. So it's a story that most people have already heard before as well. I mean, if you've been around video games in any capacity, you've at least heard something about Final Fantasy VII. But it is a great story, and the way they present it has been fantastic. And I really think they've done a good job with the story aspect so far. I've heard some complaints about things kind of getting a little wonky at the end, and people more so being upset because it doesn't follow the original, which I get it. If you have a lot of nostalgia and a lot of love for a certain thing, you're not going to want that to change. But at the same time, it is a remake, and they are doing things differently. I mean, the whole entire Final Fantasy VII was like 35 hours long or so, a little bit more probably. And then this one can easily run you, 30 to 35 minutes, or 30 to 35 hours, not minutes. And so they are doing some things, and they are changing things up, and they are altering things in a slight way. Like I said, I actually have managed to stay unspoiled on what happens at the end of the remake versus what happens at the end of the original, or at least that portion of it in the original. So I'm trying to power through this. That's my big thing for the weekend. I'm going to try to power through this and get it done. That way I can finish it before it gets spoiled for me, because it's only a matter of time. It's been out for 2 weeks, and a lot of people have beat it already. The visuals. So the character models and a lot of things are fantastic. They've done such a wonderful job. It's a gorgeous game. Where it falls apart in some areas is a lot of the background stuff. I know going through like the slums and some of the other major set points, they look really bad. The textures, I mean, you don't even really have to get that close. If you walk near something, you can tell some of these textures are rough. I'm not sure why they did this. The Final Fantasy really does focus a lot on, they tend to focus a lot on the character models and the faces and all the things that they're known for. They do a wonderful job with those, and they make these characters look real, but also while keeping it clear. It's obviously a video game, but they do a good job of blurring that line in a weird sort of way that you really only see from a Final Fantasy game. But for the most part, I mean, your combat animations and a lot of the different animations that happen throughout, just playing are really, really good. I mean, my only visual complaint, and even then, like, I'm usually all right to overlook it. Like, I can look right past it. It's not a huge deal, but I do notice it. I know it's there. It's those textures. I mean, those textures look rough. But that being said, I mean, as a whole, this package is just it's gorgeous. Some of the set pieces and the way they reimagined what Final Fantasy VII was to what they have created with this remaster is just incredible. And I'm amazed at what they did with this game, and I get why it took a long time. Maybe not as long as what it did, but I get why it took a while. And there's a lot of love that went into this, and you can really tell. Audio-wise, audio is pretty good. As you walk through the cities and stuff, you can hear people talking. You can hear all sorts of different conversations, and you can hear it get more distance as you run away, and all the audio while you're in a battle sounds great. The music, of course, is incredible. They've done some remasters with some of the original songs, and they just sound so good. They've done some things that are very interesting while still paying homage to what the original created, and the music in the original is so well known as well. That's carried on into other Final Fantasy games. I mean, when you start up like Final Fantasy XIV, the intro music for at least the longest time was from Final Fantasy VII. They just that soundtrack in itself is probably one of the most iconic soundtracks of all time in video games. Hands down. And like I said, I never even played the original. That was not really my thing at the time, so I didn't play it. But it's just that audio is gorgeous. The only thing I do want to complain about is if you stand in one spot too long. Like I was checking a message on my phone, the people in the city will just keep saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I think when I was going to the first coming back from the first mission, I was standing on a train and I was standing near a lady and she repeated the same thing. I swear to God, like for 2 minutes straight. That I wish there was a little bit of variance there and that they would switch that up a little bit, but overall it's not too bad. Like I said, most of the time you aren't standing still. I just had to check a text or check an email or whatever it was. I don't even remember, but yeah, don't stand still. That will drive you insane. Gameplay wise, it is really, really neat what they've done with this. They've taken a game that was traditionally a turn-based game and turned it into a live-action game, almost to the kind of same vein as like a Devil May Cry. Not quite as flashy, obviously, but it's still very cool what they've done. And they've done, they've made it. For me, I played on I think it was normal difficulty. I didn't want to play on easy because I heard easy was really easy. Normal can be challenging at times if you aren't switching between characters and watching your health bar. It's very easy to go down in health very quickly. I was doing an optional thing to get some new materia, and Tifa went down twice during that one fight, and that was the first time I had anybody go down, and this was at like the 7 hour marker or so. So yeah, it's tough. I mean, there are some battles you have to be really on your toes, and you have to be watching that. You kind of have to heal like it's a turn-based game, but also still fight like it's an action game, and that makes it a little interesting. But once you kind of get the feel for it, it's not too bad. And once you start learning the different materia and what each person can do and some of the different systems that they've added in there, it's a lot of fun. Other than that, I mean, your combat bits are going to be most of it. I mean, you have a little bit of traversal here and there, but most of that's kind of more of a filler. That's just walk from this to get to the new point and admire all the stuff that's going on in the background and all of the set points or set pieces. But for the most part, I mean, the gameplay is a lot of fun. I've been having a blast with it. It's very rare does a game capture my attention like this to where it's like, hey, I want to play this game. Tonight, this is what I'm doing, or when I get some time, that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to play that game. And they've done a fantastic job. So overall, I'm loving this game. I'm not saying this is going to be a game that you need to go out and buy a PlayStation 4 for. Not at this point, not with a new console right around the corner, but it is a game that, especially if you were a fan of the original Final Fantasy VII, I think it's a must-play. I honestly do. I as a non-fan of the original, not that I don't like it, I just never really played it, and I have a hard time going back to games with older graphics, which after playing this, I'm actually going to buy Final Fantasy VII on Steam so I can mod it a little bit and make it look a little prettier, and I'm going to play through it. I mean, that's how much this game has sold me on Final Fantasy VII as a whole, and I can't say anything higher than that, I guess. It's just great, and it will be coming to Xbox next year and PC as well. So, I mean, if you don't have a PlayStation, I'm not saying you need to go buy it right now and go buy a PlayStation and play this game right now. If you can wait. I mean, it should be fine. Again, it's a 23-year-old story, so you're really not going to be spoiled on too much. But at the same time, like, I wouldn't say it's a console seller by any means, but it's wonderful. And if you do have a PlayStation and are even remotely interested in this, definitely pick it up. But with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So again, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Diggity Podcast. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. Search for Diggity Gaming. That's the easiest way to find us. You can find me on Xbox at Luscious Brody. You can find me on PlayStation at Wolverine's Cousin. That's all one word. You can capitalize that W and capitalize that C, and you can find me. if you could, leave a review. If you enjoyed this at all, I know this is not typically what our show looks like. Normally there's someone else to banter with. Maybe not leave a review about the ones I've done by myself. Maybe wait until Jeff comes back and we get back in the groove here and everything feels natural again. But we do appreciate it. Reviews help us, and it helps us, people find us and for us to be seen and all of these different things that are really, really difficult when there's lots of people putting out podcasts every day, especially in the video game world. So to stand out and try to do something different is hard, and even then, if you do pull that off, it's even harder to be found by people. So again, if you can, fantastic, leave us a review. If not, we understand. That's fine. Keep listening. That's good enough for us. And with that, we will see you next week, hopefully